Hello everyone, I am here to discuss with you the chapter 2 or the research methodology. So bakit chapter 2 ang methodology? Kasi ang gamit nating format is the IMRAD. Pero kung yung usual na format, yung hanggang chapter 5, ang research methodology ay nasa chapter 3 pa. So for today, ang magiging focus natin would be the population and sample and the sampling techniques because we're done discussing the research design. At bakit ba importante ang population, sample, and sampling technique? Because we want to address this question. How many participants should be chosen for a survey? So, ilan nga ba dapat yung respondents na sa surveyan nyo para makakuha kayo ng valid na results? And paano nyo pipiliin itong mga participants or respondents nyo na to? So first things first, let's define what is population and sample. When we say population, we are referring to the entire group that you want to conclude about. So ibig sabihin, ito yung kabuuan. Okay? Pag sinabi namang sample, this is the specific group that you will collect data from. So, ito lang yung representative ng population. So, from your population, from the kabuuan, kukuha ka lang ng sample na magre-represent doon sa inyong population. So, itong sample na makukuha nyo from your population, ito yung susurveyan niya lang. Kaya sila lang yung mismong representative or respondents nyo. Pero take note, since sila yung representative ng inyong population, kung ano yung makukuha yung results from the sample, it would represent the results na pwede nyo ring makuha sa population nyo. Kaya importante na hindi lang basta-basta yung bilang ng inyong sample. O let's say ang population nyo, 1,000 UMS students. And then, ilan ba dapat out of the 1,000 UMS students, ilan ba dapat doon yung sasurveyan nyo o bibigyan nyo ng questionnaire para maging valid ang inyong results. So, doon pumapasok si sample size determination. Kaya importante yon kasi nga, hindi naman pwedeng out of 1,000, 10 lang yung gagawin mo o sasurveyan mo. So, technically, hindi marirepresent ng 10 yon yung 1,000 na UMS students. So, magfe-fail ka doon. Kaya dapat meron tayong tamang process no para ma-determine natin ilan ba talaga yung sample natin. And yung tamang process is this one, the sample size determination. So this is the mathematical estimation of the number of subjects or units to be included in a study. At ginagamit nating formula dito is the Slovin's formula. So, ano ba tong mga to? Yung small n, that's your sample size. Yan yung hinahanap natin. Ilan ba dapat ang kasama sa inyong respondents? And then, the capital N is the population size o yung kabuuan. And then, yung E naman is the desired margin of error. Of course, wala namang perfect na tao. Tama? Ibig sabihin, even ang inyong research ay merong room for mistakes. So, there is still a chance na meron pa ding errors. Ayun yung tinatawag natin na margin of error. And kadalasan, the standard margin of error is at 5%. Pero depende yon. Depende yon sa population. Because the bigger or the larger the population, of course, the higher the desired margin of error would be. Kasi pag mas madaming involved, mas prone siya sa mas madaming mali. Ganun lang yun siya. Pero yun nga, the standard margin of error is at 5%. So, para mas maintindihan nyo, paano ba natin kukomputin ang ating sample size using the Slovin's formula? Magbigay tayo ng sample. Okay. So, I have here a sample problem, tapos computin natin siya para mas madali nyo siyang maintindihan. So, for instance, in your research, if the population is 1,000 and the margin of error you allow is 5%, what is your representative sample? Or out from the 1,000 population, ilan ba talaga yung dapat respondents mo lang? So, compute natin siya. Okay, so first things first, of course, ang dapat mong gawin kapag nagsisolve ka ng problem ay ikaw ay mag-substitute. Okay, magsa-substitute ka muna nung mga value na meron tayo. So, ano bang value meron tayo? First, the population, which is 1,000. And then, next is the margin of error, which is 5%. So, mag-substitute muna tayo. So the capital N is the population. So that's 1,000 all over 1 plus capital N again, which is the population, 1,000. And then multiply with the E or the margin of error, which is 5%. So, syempre, palitan muna natin to or i-convert natin to from percentage to decimal point. So, paano ba kapag decimal na siya, no, in a decimal form? So, kapag ganon, lagi nyo tatandaan, from here, andito kasi, pag 5, andito yung ating, nasa right side niya yung decimal point. So, since ito ay percentage, so that's 100 or dalawang decimal places. So, from right, andito yung decimal point niyan, we move it to the left. From right to left twice. Kasi nga 100 yon. So, let's move it. 1 and then 2. So, dito na nalipat yung decimal point. Since may space na dyan, lalagyan mo yun ng value or ng number which is 0. So, ibig sabihin, ang 5% pag kinonvert mo siya sa decimal point, ay magiging 0.05. Okay? So, ganun lang pag-convert ng percentage to decimal. Balik na tayo dito sa pag-substitute. 0.05 then raised to 2. Okay, so after mo ma-substitute, syempre, kailangan mo munang ma-simplify yung denominator natin, itong nasa ilalim, kasi we cannot divide the numerator, itong 1,000, doon sa denominator pag hindi nakasimplify yung denominator. So, para gawin natin yon, syempre, mauuna natin i-simplify ito. Kasi meron siyang exponent. So, itong exponent, ang tatandaan nyo dyan, iyan yung kung ilang beses, ayan yung nag-i-indicate na kung ilang beses mo siya i-multiply sa sarili niya. So, itong 0.05 raised to 2, hindi ibig sabihin yan 0.05 times 2. Hindi po ganun. So, since 2 yan, so ilang beses mo siya i-multiply doon sa sarili niya, 2 beses. Ibig sabihin, 0.05 times 0.05. Ganun mo siya isi-simplify. Okay. I-simplify natin, 1,000 over 1 plus 1,000 ulit. And then, 0.05 times 0.05, that's 0.0025. Okay. So, after na nating masimplify yon, matanggal yung exponent, imumultiply naman natin si 1,000 to 0.0025. So, 1,000 all over 1 plus, ito na, mumultiply natin yan. Saglit lang, kuha ko ng calcu para sure. 1,000 times 0.0025. So, that's 2.5. So, plus 2.5. Okay, so after nyan, hindi pa rin siya nakasimplify. Simplify muna natin yung denominator. 1,000 over 1 plus 2.5, of course, 3.5. Okay, since na-simplify na natin yung denominator, ito lang yung time na pwede na natin i-divide si numerator to its denominator. 1,000 divide 2.5. So, that's 400. Ay, di pala 2.5, 3.5 pala, sorry. 1,000 divide 3.5, that's 285.721. 285.71. But since ito na yung nakuha natin and ito na yung sample size, ibig sabihin, out of 1,000, 285.71 yung surveyan nyo. But wala namang taong nakakount as 0.71. Sabi ko nga, kahit kulang-kulang, hindi naman counted yan as 0.71. Kaya naman, we will round this off. Okay, since ito po ay 7, tatandaan sa rounding off, pag 5 yan pataas, 5 and above, magpa-plus 1 tayo lagi dito. So, since 7 siya, pag ni-round off natin itong 285.71, magiging 286. So, ibig sabihin, out of 1,000 population, out of 1,000, let's say, yung students, 286 lang ang inyong susurveyan. And this sample size is enough para i-represent yung kabuuan na population. So, that's how you compute for the sample size using the Slovin's formula. I hope it's clear. Okay? So, let's proceed now. So, since alam mo na kung ilan yung susurveyan mo, 286 nga, using the Slovin's formula, paano mo naman malalaman? And paano mo malalaman kung paano ka kukuha nung 286 na yun o nung sample mo? Okay, so doon papasok si sampling techniques. Ayan. So, doon na papasok si sampling techniques. When we say sampling technique, it is a plan you set forth to be sure that the sample you use in your research study represents the population from which you drew your sample. So, ito nga yung paano mo na malalaman. Oo, nalaman mo na 286 dapat, pero okay lang ba yun na kukuha ka na lang ng 286 out of the 1,000 kung sino nila yung mahugot mo? Okay lang ba yun o hindi? So, yun na nga yung pag-uusapan natin pagdating kay sampling technique. Madami tayong sampling techniques, pero yung onti lang yung i-discuss ko sa inyo. Hindi ko na i-discuss lahat. Pero technically, we have two types of sampling. We have the probability sampling and the non-probability sampling. So, ano bang difference nila? Kapag probability sampling, it is based on the fact that every member of a population has a known and equal chance of being selected. So, ibig sabihin, lahat ng nasa population mo, yung example natin 1,000, meron silang equal chance, no? May equal chance silang mapili or ma-include doon sa sample mo na 286 based dun sa kinompute natin kanina. Alright, so ganon kapag probability sampling. Kapag naman non-probability sampling, since this is the opposite of the probability, dito, walang equal chance ang inyong population na masama doon sa sample nyo. Because it relies on the subjective judgment of the researcher. When we say subjective judgment, so nakadepende na yung kay researcher kung sino yung gusto niyang isama doon sa sample niya. Okay? So, yun yung difference lang ni probability and non-probability sampling. Probability, may equal chance yung population nyo of being selected as your sample. Non-probability, wala, because it depends or it relies on the subjective judgment. Okay, so for each type of sampling technique, under ni probability and ni non-probability sampling, meron tayong mga sampling techniques na tinatawag or under nila. So, unahin muna natin yung mga sampling techniques under ni probability sampling. Okay, first things first, we have here the simple random sampling, followed by the systematic random sampling, next stratified random sampling, and lastly the cluster sampling. So in this video, actually parang ang mas mafofocusan natin is the stratified random sampling kasi meron din dyang computation. So yun yung i-discuss ko din sa inyo later. Pero unahin muna natin i-define this is simple random sampling. So paano ba siya? Okay, kapag kay simple random sampling, it has, the chance of selection is the same for every member of the population. Since nasa probability siya sampling, merong equal chance na ang ating population. Pero paanong random yung gagawin? So dito na papasok yung lottery. Pag sinabi nating lottery, yung bunot-bunutan o kaya yung wheel of names. Since dapat may equal chance of being selected ang population, pwede mo silang assignan ng number. Okay, o kunyari, 1 ka, 2 ka, 3 ka, 4, 5, 6, 7, so on and so forth hanggang 1,000. And then, lalagay mo yun sa isang bowl, yung numbers na yun, tapos bubunot ka kung ilan yung sample mo. So, 286 yung na-compute natin. So, bubunot ka ng 286. O kaya sa wheel of names, magro-roleta ka ng 286 times. Pero make sure na lahat ng inyong population ay naandon. So, that's simple random sampling. Tatandaan nyo lang na term, lottery. Okay, yun lang yan. Okay, next one. Ito yung illustration natin. So, from your population, bubunot ka para makabuo ka ng iyong sample. So, that's simple random sampling. Again, ang tatandaan na keyword, lottery. So next one is the systematic random sampling. Here, from the word itself, systematic. So there is a system. Okay, pag may system, meron tayong procedure na fina-follow. So dito, individuals are selected at regular intervals from the sampling frame. So the first individual selected corresponds to a random number between 1 to 8 or 1 to unknown. Alright, so dito, for example, ako as a researcher, ang gusto ko ay yung every pang-fourth, yung interval na gagamitin ko, regular interval is yung pang-fourth. So, yung pang-fourth na student, siya yung isasama ko sa sample ko. So, para mas maintindihan nyo, ito yung illustration. So, dito, bibilang lang ako, 1, 2, 3, 4. So, yung unang-una na may box na red, siya yung una ko doon sa sample. From there, bilang ulit ako ng 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So, yun yung pangalawa. Bilang ulit ako, 1, 2, 3, 4. Siya yung pangatlo. So on and so forth, hanggang mabuo mo yung sample size mo. And sa example nga natin, 286. Okay, paano po, Miss, kapag naubos na namin yung population namin, yung interval namin kasi 10. So, naubos na, pero hindi pa namin na-reach yung sample size namin. Pag ganon, ulit ka lang ulit. Pili ka lang ulit ng regular interval, tas bilang ka lang, same process. Hanggang makumpleto mo yung sample size mo. Ganun lang siya kadali. So, that's systematic random sampling. Merong sistema or merong regular interval na fina-follow ka. Okay? So, let's proceed with the third one. Ito na yung pinaka-focus natin, which is the stratified random sampling. So, in this method, the population is first divided into subgroups, which we call the strata, who all share a similar characteristic. So, unang-unang proseso natin, kapag ito yung sampling technique na pipiliin nyo or yung best suits your research, i-divide nyo muna. You have to divide your population into strata. So, ano bang yung strata na to? Pag strata, mako-consider mo sila na isang strata kapag they share a similar characteristic. Okay, dapat at least one characteristic ay parehas sila. Okay, so itong illustration natin ipapakita ko. So, dito, yan. Kunyari, ito yung population natin. Yan yung kabuuan ng population. And kapag stratified random sampling nga, so di-divide muna natin siya sa strata. O kunyari, lahat ng yellow magkakasama. O A sila, stratum A. And then stratum B, stratum C, stratum D. Okay, so magkakasama na sila, no? May same color. Ganyan. Tapos hinati ko na kasi stratified random sampling. And then, after mong mahati or after you divide your population into strata, kukuha ka na. From each stratum, you'll get a representative. Kunyari dito, yung yellow, sa stratum A, kumuha ako. Sa B, C, and then D. So, tapos, ito na yung iyong magiging sample. Okay? So, ganun kay stratified random sampling. Pero, ang tanong, what if the sample sizes of each stratum are different from each other? So, paano nga naman kunyari, kung kay stratum A, di ba ang population natin sa sample ay 1,000 kanina. Sa stratum A, merong 500 na population. Sa B, 100 lang. Sa C, 200. And then sa D ay 200 din. Okay, 200, 200 plus 100 plus 5. So, that's a total of 1,000 population. Sa tingin nyo, yung 200, di ba, out of 1,000, 286 ang ating sample size. So, kapag dinivide natin yun sa 4, 286 divide 4, so most likely, may dalawang 71, may dalawang 72. O sabihin na natin 72 yung kukunin natin sa A, tsaka sa B. So, sa tingin nyo, di ba, kapag yung A, 500 sila, out of 572 lang kukunin. So, onti lang yung makukuha mo sa A. Tapos sa B, na 100 lang sila, 72 rin yung kukunin mo. So, halos lahat sila kukunin mo. Yung ratio natin ay hindi tama. Siyempre, pag mas madami yung nasa stratum A, dapat mas madami yung kukunin natin doon. Tapos, ang B naman, since onti siya, dapat mas onti yung kukunin natin para maging well-represented ang bawat stratum. So, doon na papasok ang computation kay stratified random sampling. So, paano natin siya kukomputin ngayon? Okay, so paano na siya? Alright, so dito. Okay, so meron tayong sample na problem ulit para mas maintindihan nyo. Let me read it for you. The population of junior high school students in Mabuhay National High School is 1,200. So, use this population to make stratified random sampling. So, first things first, since ang given pa lang dito is the population, you have to determine the sample size. Okay, kailangan malaman muna natin ilan ba out of 1,200, ilan yung kukunin natin na sample. Siyempre, ang gagamitin nating formula is the Slovin's formula. Okay, sige, computein muna natin yung Slovin's. Computein muna natin. Alright, ano ba ang formula natin? N is equal to capital N. Okay, capital N, 1 plus NE squared. Alright, so let's proceed. So, ang capital N natin, ang population natin sa given is 1,200. Since wala tayong margin of error dito, yan, so wait lang i-do not disturb ko lang. Okay. Okay, so since wala tayong margin of error given, but the standard is again 5%. So, automatic gawin natin 5% pag walang given na margin of error. 1, 2, and then 1 plus n, I want to ulit. And then the margin of error is 5%, so gawin na natin siyang decimal 0.05 squared. So, after that, 1, 2, tanggalin natin ito, i-simplify natin ito. So, paano yun? So, again, ang exponent, yung indication nun, ganung beses mo siya i-multiply sa sarili niya. So, kapag 0.05 times 0.05, kasi 2 yung exponent natin, that would be 0.0025. So, after that, i-multiply na natin si 1, 2 kay 0.0025. So, 1, 2 over 1 plus, compute natin. Okay, 1, 2 times 0.0025. So, that's 3. So, kung 3 yan, 1, 2, 1 plus 3, 4. So, 1, 2 divide 4, 300. Tama ba? Sorry. 1, 2 divide 4. Yeah, so that's 300. So, ibig sabihin, out of 1,200, okay, out of 1,200 na population, 300 ang inyong susurveyan o ang inyong sample. Since alam nyo na yung sample size natin, okay, erase muna natin to. Huwag kakalimutan yung Slovin's formula. So, since alam na natin ang ating sample, which is 300, malalaman na natin ngayon kung kung ilan na yung kukunin natin sa grade 7, grade 8, 9, and 10. Since junior high school po ang ating population, ang strata niyan most likely ay per grade level. So, pagkakapares sila ng grade level, kaya hinatin natin sila sa 4 na strata. Yun nga yung stratum A natin is grade 7, B ay 8, C 9, and then the stratum D ay yung grade 10. So, ang population nila, ito, grade 7, 350, 8, 300, grade 9, 380, and then grade 10 is 170, with a total of 1,200 population. So, paano natin kukunin ngayon? So, paano natin malalaman, out of 300, ilan yung kukunin natin? Out of 350, ilan yung kukunin natin for our sample na 300? So, ganito lang yan. So, 350, yung total population ng strata or stratum, divided by with the total number of population ng lahat. So, yung pinaka-population ng lahat. So, 350 divided by yung population natin, total population, which is 200. And then, you will multiply it with this one, with your sample size, computed sample size which is 300. So, that's equal to, i-compute ulit natin, 350, yung population ng strata, tapos di-divide nyo siya doon sa total population nung buong strata, divide 1,200, and then we will multiply it with 300 o yung sample size natin. So, we will get 87.5. Okay, so ibig sabihin, out of 350, 87.5 or 88 yung kukunin natin sa grade 7. Okay, ganun yun siya. So, same process. Sa grade 8, ganun din. So, 300, you divide it with the total population, which is 1, 2, times 300. So, ilan yun? O, computein ulit natin. Para masanay, 300 divide 1,200 yung total population, and then we multiply it with the sample size, which is 300, so that's 75. Same thing with grade 9. Ganun din. Compute natin lahat para masanay kayo kung paano. So, 380 divide total population na 12 times sample size na na-compute, which is 300. So, that's 95. And then, lastly, yung 170 na grade 10, ilan yung kukunin natin sa 170 na yan? Same process. 170, total population ng strata. Divide mo dun sa main population or pinaka-population ng lahat, which is 1, 2. And then, you will multiply it with 300 o ang inyong sample size. So, that's 42.5. Alright. So, pag ito ay inad natin, okay, add natin siyang lahat. 87.5 plus 75 plus 95 plus 42.5. Ito ay saktong, of course, 300. Dapat sakto siya para masabi mong tama talaga na yung process na ginawa mo dito. Okay, 300. However, sabi natin kanina, wala namang 0.5 na tao. So, kailangan i-round off natin to. Pero, pag ni-round off natin to, since ang ating rule ay kapag 5 pataas plus 1 dito, so ito dapat magiging 88, ito magiging 43. Pag ganun ginawa natin, magiging 301 ang ating sample. Dapat 300 lang. So, pag ganun, discretion nyo ni researcher, no? Kung sino yung i-add natin pataas. Kung saan tayo mag-round off pataas. Para makuha pa rin natin yung 300. And since dito, para mas makapag-desisyon kayo ng tama, ano bang mas malaki ang population? Yung grade 7 o grade 10? Of course, the grade 7 kasi 350. Grade 10, 170 lang. Tatandaan, kapag mas madaming population, mas deserve nilang mas madami ang respondents para maging well-represented sila. Okay, so ganun lang. 87.5, so magiging 88. Ito 75 pa din. Ito 95. And this one, magre-retain lang ng 42. So, a total of 300. Ibig sabihin neto, out of the 350 sa grade 7, 88 yung kukunin. Sa grade 8, out of 375. Grade 9, out of 380, 95. And sa grade 10, out of 170, 42. So, in this way, well-represented na ang lahat ng inyong stratum. Okay, ganun pag-compute ng stratified random sampling. Okay? So, sa exam, huwag kakalimutan yung sa sample. So, para naman makuha yung sa percentage, kasi doon, meron doon table yung sa exam nyo. So, yung may table na ganyan. O, dito yung section. Tapos, dito yung population, section. Tapos, dito yung percentage. So, para makuha yung percentage, ganun lang. O, 350 divided by yung total 1,200. O, sige, sample natin. Total population. O, 350 divide 1 to... O, eto, naging nasa decimal naman. So, ililipat natin siya to percentage. So, since nasa left na siya, gagawin naman, i-move naman natin yung decimal point to the right twice. Okay? 1, 2. So, ibig sabihin, ang percentage dito ay 29.17. At least 2 decimal places. Bakit 17? Kasi yung next doon sa 6, yung sa 16, di ba, yung 291,666. So, ay 6. So, dapat plus 1 ka dito. Kaya 17 siya. Okay, ganun lang siya. Percent yan. So, ganun lang siya sa exam. Okay, ganun lang siya kadali. So, ibig sabihin, ito lang ang kailangan yung reviewin. Kasi para ma-perfect nyo na yung exam, kayang-kaya nyo yan. I hope so far so good. Okay, so that's stratified random sampling. So let's proceed now with the fourth sampling technique under the probability. O mag-review lang muna tayo. So yung unang-una, kapag simple random, ang term natin or ang keyword natin is lottery. Next naman, kapag systematic, merong regular interval kasi dapat may system. Kapag stratified random sampling, ang unang gagawin, you have to divide the population into subgroup o strata. Okay, subgroup or strata. Tapos after nun, from each stratum, you'll get a representative. At doon na pumasok yung computation natin para tama or well-representative or well-represented ang each stratum. And then the last one under the probability sampling is the clustered sampling technique. Dito parang stratified din siya because hahatiin mo rin muna sa subgroups ang inyong population. So after mo siyang mahati, pero ang tawag natin cluster. Pero after mo siyang mahati, ang difference kay stratified, dapat bawat stratum may representative. Kapag kay clustered sampling technique, after mong mahati sa cluster, pipili ka lang ng kung anong cluster yung kasama doon sa iyong sample. So dito, yan, ang pinili ko lang itong cluster 1, yung unang-una, 2, 3, and then 4. Okay, ito pa para mas maintindihan. Pag stratified, di ba? Pag stratified, stratum, dapat bawat strata merong characteristic, similar characteristic. So yung yellow, ay yung red magkakasama, and then the blue, magkakasama sila. So, sa red, dalawa yung kinuha natin, yung may bilog, yun yung sample natin. Sa blue naman, 3 kasi mas madami sila. Pero, bawat stratum, may representative. Ganon kay stratified. Kapag kay clustered sampling technique, hinati natin sa cluster. So, meron tayong 5. Cluster 1, 2, and then 3, 4, and then 5. Pero kung makikita mo sa cluster, hindi necessary na may similar characteristic sila. Unlike kay strata. So, dito, katulad yan. Kay cluster 1, may red, isang red, dalawang blue. Cluster 2, dalawang red, isang blue. So, pagkahati natin sa clusters, pipili lang tayo ng isasama natin sa sample. So, ako, kunyari, as a researcher, pinili ko yung cluster 2 and then yung cluster 4. So, yung 1, 3, at saka 5, hindi siya kasama. Ganon yung difference nila. So, ito yung summary no, ng ating diniscuss. Pag simple random sample, lottery. Lahat may equal chance of being selected. Kaya lahat a-assignan mo ng number tapos bunot-bunutan na lang or wheel of names. Pag systematic sample, merong sistema. So may regular interval tayong gagamitin. Kapag stratified sampling technique, hahatiin muna sa strata. Ang strata ay dapat may similar characteristic. And then from each stratum, you'll get a representative. And then lastly, sa cluster sample, you will divide your population into subgroups which we call the cluster. And then from the clusters na hinati mo, pipili ka lang kung sino doon yung isasama mo sa sample mo. Yun, etong 4 na to, yung sampling techniques na pwede yung pagpilian under the probability sampling. Again, pag probability sampling, lahat ng member ng inyong population has an equal chance of being selected. I hope it's clear. Let's proceed now with the basic sampling techniques under the non-probability sampling. Doon sa diniscuss natin kanina, ulitin ko lang, ang sampling ay merong 2 types, the probability and the non-probability. Kay probability, underneath probability, meron tayong sampling techniques na 4 na diniscuss, no? At ito yon: simple random, systematic, stratified random, and the cluster. Pag under naman kay non-probability, pag sinabi nating non-probability sampling, walang equal chance ang ating population na mapili as our sample kasi it relies on the subjective judgment of the researcher. Nakadepende kay researcher kung sino yung gusto niyang isama doon sa sample niya. So, meron tayong iba't ibang sampling techniques din under nito. Pero, hindi ko nilahat ha. Iba lang itong diniscuss ko sa'yo. Onti lang. So, the first one is the quota sampling, next convenience, and lastly, the purposive sampling. Pag sinabi natin quota sampling, pag quota sampling, from the word itself, quota. So, may quota lang. O, kunyari, ako si leader, hatiin ko yung groupmates ko. O, quota mo, 10 babae, 10 lalaki. So, kabila din, 15 lalaki, 15 na babae. So, kung ganon, mahahanap lang ako nun. 10 sa akin, hanap ako nung 10 lalaki. Tapos, 10 babae naman. Ganon lang kay quota sampling. Okay? Pag convenient sampling naman, yan. So, syempre, kung ano lang yung convenient kay researcher. So, under this sampling, the sample elements are selected from the population based on their availability on the convenience of the researcher. Para mas maintindihan nyo, let me show you an illustration. So, yung color red, yun si researcher. Tapos, ang pinili niyang sample is yung nakabilog doon sa color blue. So, kung mapapansin nyo, ang sample lang na napili niya, yung available lang during that time na nagsasurvey siya or nagbibigay siya ng questionnaire, 3 green, and then 1 blue. At ang di niya alam, yung color violet, ayan, no purple figures in sample. So, hindi represented yung purple na grupo. 'Di ba? Kasi kung sino lang yung convenient, siya lang yung kasama doon sa sample niya. So yun lang yun siya. Kaya dito, hindi siya ganun ka-reliable yung makukuha yung results dito. So hindi well represented lahat nung nasa population. Kaya nga siya under ni non-probability sampling. Okay? And then the last one is the purposive sampling. So under the purposive sampling, ito naman yung kadalasan ginagamit sa non-probability. Kasi kay purposive sampling, nakabase naman ito sa purpose. Purpose nung study nyo. Okay? Merong specific criteria. Ano bang best example dito? Ang best example dito is, kunyari kapag yung research nyo ay experimental research and you're looking for the effectiveness o gaano ba ka-effective yung isang shampoo, yung isang brand ng shampoo. So of course, kung ganun ang inyong research, ang inyong respondents ay yung may mga buhok. No? Kadalasan yan, mga babae pa kasi mahahaba yung buhok. So hindi naman pwede yung kalbo. Hindi pwede yung kalbo kasi paano mo malalaman, di naman most likely sila gumagamit ng shampoo. So ibig sabihin, doon, hindi pwede yung stratified. Kasi kapag stratified, so, hahatiin mo nga sa strata yung iyong grupo. Tapos, from each stratum, dapat may representative ka. Paano kapag doon sa stratum na yun, mas madami yung kalbo? Tapos, kailangan mong ma-meet yung na-compute mong representative, 'di ba? So, hindi siya applicable or hindi siya yung best na sampling technique. So, doon pumapasok nga si purposive sampling. Kasi naka-based sa purpose ng study mo yung pagpili ng respondents. So, you have specific criterias. Okay, so yun lang naman so far yung i-discuss natin na sampling techniques with regards sa probability and non-probability sampling. Pero again, hindi lang ito yung mga sampling techniques. Madami pa tayong sampling techniques, pero ito yung mga kadalasang ginagamit. But in your case, since ang inyong respondents ay mga students sa school, ang best na gagamitin yung sampling technique is the stratified random sampling. Kaya ulit-ulitin tong video na to para makita nyo kung paano ko computein ng tama yung stratified random sampling. And if you do have some question, feel free to message me. Tanungin nyo ko o kaya yung inyong classmate na kung paano yun computein. Even the Slovin's formula is very important. Included yun sa inyong exam. So, thank you for listening, everyone. God bless you.